Under fire, Deputy NDPP advocate Nomgcobo Jiba has vehemently denied receiving monetary bribes from Bosasa. Jiba took to the witness stand for the first time at the Mokgoro Enquiry. She told the inquiry investigating her fitness to hold office that her only income comes from the NPA. For more on this story, we on the line to our reporter Sipho Stuurman. But first, Sipho, let's take a listen to that testimony about Bosasa.
Worst of all, in 2009, I had nothing to do with Bosasa at all, where I would have then have to be paid for the services that I'm rendering to Bosasa. In 2010, I had nothing to do with Bosasa at all. And so in 2011, I had nothing to do with Bosasa at all. And so in 2012, during these periods, as we have seen in my CV, I was a Deputy Director of Public Prosecutions in 2009. The only time that I got to be involved in the Bosasa matter was through briefings that I was receiving in my capacity as such, as an acting National Director of Prosecutions.
All right, so Sipho she takes us through a timeline. Tell us a little bit more about that, why she justifies that there's no way she could have been involved in any way with Bosasa or any of its officials.
Well, a very good evening to you and our viewers at home. Indeed, Jiba said that she has never had any contact with Bosasa officials, and that she does not know who Agrizi is, and the alleged middleman in this matter, that is a person referred to as Mti. Now, her testimony is similar to that of Lawrence Mrwebi, who is, of course, investigated for fitness to hold office alongside with her in this Mokgoro Enquiry. And Mrwebi also told a similar story that they have no relationship with Bosasa officials, particularly Agrizi, also stating that, but however, they were aware of potential criminal activity by Bosasa officials, and that they had actually pushed the prosecutor on the matter to try and move in very fast onto Bosasa officials, particularly Agrizi himself. He was on the radar of the NPA, so they're saying they have never had contact with him. In fact, they actually wanted to criminally charge Agrizi for alleged corrupt activities.
Did she say whether or not she was involved in cases or business that had to do with Bosasa?
Well, she really said she was not involved, because remember at this time she was the acting NDPP. So as an NDPP, you are sort of playing an oversight role. So you're not really involved in daily running or prosecutorial decisions of potential, crimes or that sort of thing. So when she was acting NDPP, she was not hands-on involved in that, and she was at pains to explain that she was playing an oversight role, and this also relates to the decision, the controversial decision to withdraw charges against Richard Mdluli, who is the former crime intelligence boss. And she says in that case, she was not hands-on. All she did is that she received a briefing from Mrwebi, who had said, well, perhaps let's withdraw the charges against Mdluli because we don't have a strong enough case at this point in time. And she said that she had no reason to doubt Mrwebi. So, and then she endorsed that decision by Mrwebi. So that was this part of it, trying to explain that they're not hands-on with these matters, but rather she plays an oversight role.
Okay, Sipho, as you mentioned, that she mentioned Agrizi, that coming out of the Zondo Commission of Inquiry. Let's take a watch and look at that part where she explains about that.
I've never met Agrizi. I've never met Mti. I've never been given money. Somebody, somewhere, maybe, must have been receiving money. I just don't know who that person is, but it was not me.
What does she mean when she says somebody somewhere must have been receiving money? Is she alluding to the fact that she knows that definitely somebody was, or was it just a way of exonerating herself from these allegations?
Well, I think what she means by that, because there is a middleman involved, that is T, who's an official of correctional services previously. They are saying they're not disputing that there may have been some dealings or perhaps relations between a greasy or somebody within the NPA, but that person is definitely not Jiba herself. So that's what she was trying to say, that she herself was not involved. She made a strong statement that her only income, she derives it from the NPA, and her bank statements would reflect that. So she'd really just try to sort of cleanse herself from any potential links to Bosasa.
Sipho Stuurman, just our last actualities where she talks about her detractors. Let's take a look, and I'll come back and ask you a question about that.
To learn that people who I considered my colleagues and committed patriots felt that I was not qualified to lead the NPA. The testimony of Advocate Breitenbach and Mr. Hofmeyer in particular revealed a deep resentment.
Sipho Stuurman, why or how does she explain why she felt that she was disliked, undermined or disregarded because she was a woman?
All right. Well, I mean, this is a very, matter that she was very emotional, Jiba, when she was giving this testimony, because when she was promoted to deputy NDPP, she had 17 years of experience having worked inside the NPA, and then she faced, she says, then she received a very hostile reception from the likes of Willie Hofmeyer, the likes of Breitenbach, and she could not understand why, because she felt she was experienced enough and she was qualified enough. She actually stated that at this point in time she has about 27 years within the NPA, and she feels that some of these attacks against her is not because she lacks the skills or the requisite experience to do her job. She feels that as a black female, particularly, she singled out that is Willie Hofmeyer, that Willie Hofmeyer seems to have not been willing to report to a black female. Hence, he seemingly has a lot of issues against Mrwebi. So she feels that ever since she took office firstly as the deputy NDPP, and also then in 2011, 2012 as the acting head of the NPA, that Willie Hofmeyer never supported her and that had problems with her, and she feels that was based solely on her gender and her race.
All right, thank you very much. Sipho Stuurman, our reporter, coming to us from our Pretoria studios.